All right, so today we're going to be talking about tonicizing scale degrees other than 5. So if you've already watched the main lecture, then you understand that you can tonicize scale degrees other than 5. But today I'm going to show you how you actually do it. Okay, so we're going to start by just doing a regular secondary dominant in the key of C major. This is what we talked about in the last lecture. So if you're not 100% clear on how to do this, you need to review that, check out your textbook, go over some of these concepts again. And there's also other YouTube videos you could watch that talk about secondary dominants as well. So you can get more than one viewpoint if you like. So in the key of C major, we know that the one chord built on the first scale degree is going to be major, so we write a Roman numeral 1. The fifth scale degree is also major, so we write a Roman numeral 5. Now when you're tonicizing the key of C, if you want to have a 5 of 5 in the key of C, then you have to tonicize the fifth scale degree of C, which happens to be G. So the way we figure out what the 5 of 5 is in G is we take our fifth scale degree and we use that as a basis for our next key signature. So we're tonicizing the key of G major. Now it's major and not minor because the fifth scale degree in C is a major triad. So you want to keep the qualities the same. So all I do is I add my F sharp here, and now I'm in the key of G major. So then you just go from the first, the tonic, to the fifth, the dominant, and you build a triad on the fifth scale degree in G. So you find out that the 5 of 5 in C major is actually D, F sharp, and A, which looks like a major 2 chord, okay? And then this would just resolve to the 5 chord in C, or you can think of it as the 1 chord in G. So that's hopefully very clear, because what we're going to do now is we're going to take this to the next level. We are going to tonicize a scale degree other than the fifth scale degree. So the way this works is you can tonicize any scale degree in your primary key that is not a diminished triad. So that means you can tonicize the second scale degree, the third scale degree, the fourth scale degree, although I will say there is an exception to the fourth scale degree. And then you can also tonicize the sixth scale degree. Now the seventh scale degree, we should know that is diminished. So you cannot tonicize the seventh scale degree of a major key. It doesn't work because it's diminished. And you can think about it this way. If we're going to write a secondary key area, in this case the 5 of 5 is G major, then it has to be major or minor, right? Because if it's diminished, we don't have any diminished key signatures. We only have major and minor. So we have to stick to scale degrees that use a major or a minor key. So it's really that simple. So let's go ahead and tonicize the second scale degree of C major. So the way we do that is we build a triad on the second scale degree. So that's our temporary tonic. And then since the second scale degree is a minor chord, we build a scale in minor. And we use the D as the tonic. So the tonicized key area, if we're using the second scale degree, is going to be D minor. So then you just go to the fifth scale degree. Right here, it's an A. But if I build a triad, as we know, the fifth scale degree of a minor key is going to be a minor dominant. We don't want that. We want a major dominant. So we need to raise the leading tone. So that would be how you would get a 5 of 2 in C major. And of course, it always resolves to the minor 2 chord. So if we spell this out, we have A, C sharp, and E going to D, F sharp, or D, F natural, and A. That's very important. This F should be in the primary key area. It's a minor 2 chord, so we need to keep it as a minor 2 chord. So we're tonicizing a minor key area. That's the only thing that some of you might get confused about. You might think, well, since I'm in the key of C major, do I need to make my tonicized key area D major? The answer is no. You need to make it D minor. For the third scale degree, it would be E minor, so 1 sharp. And that's all there is to it. If you want to make this into a 7th chord, just add the 7th, make sure you have a minor 7th there, so it's a major minor 7th chord, and you're good to go. From there, you just resolve the leading tone and the 7th. The 7th comes down, leading tone goes up, and that's all you have to do. You follow your regular resolution rules, so nothing changes there. So let's go ahead and look at one other thing while we're in C. Let's go ahead and tonicize the 4th scale degree of C major. I'm going to show you what happens and why we have to treat it a little bit differently. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We're going to tonicize the 4th scale degree, so that is a major triad. If we were to build a triad on the 4th, we'd find out that FAC is major. So we'll put a flat in the key signature and create our tonicized key area in the key of F. Okay, so now if we go to the 5th scale degree, we have the notes C, E, and G. So right away you should be noticing that this 4th scale degree, the 5 of 4, is actually the same as the tonic in your primary key area. So there's no way to tell the difference if you simply have a 4 chord that's a triad. So in order to make this sound like a secondary dominant, you have to add the 7th. So basically, if you're dealing with a 4 chord, a major, you need to make it a 7th chord. So you can't have a 5 of 4 in C major because it'll just sound like it's in the key of C. You have to have a 5, 7 of 4. That's the only exception. And then you just write out your 7th chord. And because of that B flat, it sounds very clearly like you've tonicized another key area, that you've left the key temporarily. And then it just resolves to the tonic of your secondary key area, or your tonicized key area. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about minor keys now. So if we are in C minor, you can only tonicize certain scale degrees. So you've got C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, and then C at the top. So if you build a triad on the 1 chord, you have a minor 1. If you build it on the 2 chord, you have a diminished triad. So this one is out. Since it's diminished, we can't tonicize the 2nd scale degree. The 3rd one, you have a major 3. So that one's okay. Our 4th scale degree, we have a minor triad. So that's okay. 5th scale degree, we have a minor dominant, but we always raise that to make it major. So that one's okay, but we've already talked about that in the previous lecture. The 6th chord is major, so we're able to tonicize that because you got A flat, C, E flat. And the 7th scale degree, this is where it gets a little bit weird. You can tonicize the 7th scale degree if it's major, but if you raise the leading tone and you make this a B natural, then you're not allowed to do it because then you have a diminished triad. So there's 2 ways to approach that, but we just use a natural minor scale for the 7th scale degree in this case. All right. So it's the same thing. Let's go ahead and tonicize the 4th scale degree in minor. So the first thing I do is, since it's a minor, I need to use F minor. And I just build a scale in F. So then I find my dominant, which is a C. I have an E flat in the key signature, so I need to make that natural. And then I have a G. And since this 5th scale degree does in fact sound different than our minor triad, we're okay there. So you can use a 4th scale degree here. So if we were to write this out, your 5 of 4 in C minor, of course it resolves to 4, would be C, E natural, and G because you have to use the key signature of C minor. And then it just resolves to the 4 chord. And that's all there is to it. So just like with the 4 chord in major though, we have something like that in minor as well, and it's a third scale degree. If we tonicize the third scale degree, it ends up sounding like the relative major of C minor. And so that tonicization isn't very clear unless you add the 7th chord. So if you do tonicize the 3 chord, we would label it as a 5-7 of 3 in C minor. You don't want to do a 5 of 3. That's one of those things you just have to avoid. So if you do have a 5 of 3, or what you think is a 5 of 3, and I've already told you that doesn't exist, what you actually have is a 7 moving to 3. So again, the 5-7 of 3 is fine because it has a 7th. It makes it more clear that it's outside the key area. But when you have a 5 of 3, it's best just to notate it as 7 going to 3. And then there's one other as well that you need to be aware of. If you have a 5 of 6 without the 7th chord that goes to 6, we typically would want to analyze that as 3 going to 6. And that's just because without the 7ths on these, they just sound like triads within the key. And so there's no need to indicate that it's actually a secondary dominant.